If your restaurant is slow in January, do you just assume that demand just disappeared? Well, most restaurant owners do. And at first glance, it feels like a reasonable conclusion. In today's video, I want to explain why slow months are usually not a demand problem. They're usually a marketing problem. And once you understand that difference, slow months start to look much differently. Now, every restaurant owner knows that dreaded phrase, slow months, January, February, late summer. Those awkward stretches where traffic seems to drop significantly and the dining room just feels a lot quieter than it should. Now, when this happens, the assumption is almost always automatic. Customers just aren't eating out. People are just tightening their belts because of the economy. Everyone's just staying home. Now, that explanation feels very logical, but it's usually also very wrong. When traffic slows, most restaurants diagnose the problem as a lack of demand, but demand doesn't disappear. People don't stop eating, they don't stop wanting convenience, comfort, or an exciting night out. What changes during slow months is an appetite, it's customer behavior. And more specifically, it's which restaurants make it into a customer's decision set. Now, there's an important distinction that most restaurants never make. It's demand versus visibility. You see, demand is a customer's willingness to eat out. Visibility, on the other hand, is whether your restaurant is considered when someone decides where to go. Slow months don't eliminate demand, they compress it. Customers go out less often, they experiment less, they choose faster, and they default to what feels familiar. So when choices narrow, only the restaurants that stay top of mind remain in rotation. Now, it's important to remember that three things shift during what we like to think of as slow months. First, behavior compresses. People reduce how often they dine out and how many places they consider. Fewer outings, smaller rotations. Second, mental bandwidth shrinks. After the holidays, during winter, or when routines tend to reset, like the first of the year, customers stop discovering. They stop browsing. They stop exploring. They don't want to think. They want to decide quickly. And third, visibility decays. Restaurants that go quiet, fewer reminders, fewer touch points, fewer signals of relevance simply fade from memory. And this isn't because they're bad, it's just because they're silent. Now, this is the point where a lot of restaurants unintentionally make slow months even worse. What happens is traffic slows, then marketing feels risky. Outreach gets paused. Budgets start to tighten. Visibility drops even further. Customers hear from you less. They think about you less. They choose you less. Traffic slows again. At this point, your original assumptions feel like they've been confirmed. There just isn't any demand, right? Well, in reality, the restaurant removed itself from the conversation. This isn't incompetence. It's just a rational response built on the wrong assumption. So when demand is misdiagnosed, discounting feels like the obvious solution. I mean, after all, if customers aren't coming, lower the price, right? Maybe you start to run a deal, offer a promotion. Discounts feel like they're activating demand. But most of the time, they don't restore visibility, which is the core problem. They don't rebuild habits. They don't keep you top of mind. They temporarily attract price sensitive behavior. And then when the promotion ends, the customer disappears along with it. Discounting treats the symptom, not the root cause. Invisibility is the cause. So it's time to reframe the way we look at the problem. Slow months are not a punishment, they're just a test. They reveal which restaurants stayed present and which ones went quiet. The restaurants that recover fastest aren't necessarily the loudest ones. They're just steady. They remain visible when customers are choosing fewer places. They stay relevant when attention shrinks. Slow months don't eliminate demand. They raise the bar for being chosen in the customer's mind. Now, January gets an especially bad reputation. January gets labeled a lot of times as just dead. But January is less about economics and more about psychology. Again, routines reset, budgets get reviewed, habits change. Restaurants that reinsert themselves early regain mind share faster. The ones that wait it out have to rebuild from zero later on. The difference isn't food quality, it's presence in the mind of the diner. Now, if January has been an especially difficult time for your restaurant, then it's usually, again, not because of demand. It's because customers just stop thinking about you. Now, to solve this, I created the January Jumpstart. It's a short, practical 10-step blueprint to help small, independent restaurants stay visible, stay relevant, and rebuild momentum during one of the slowest parts of the year. You can get a free copy at restaurantmarketingreset.com. It's the best place to start if slow months feel discouraging and you want to approach them differently. Before we close, remember two things. Number one, in the post-pandemic economy, good food just isn't good enough anymore. And if nobody walks in your restaurant, then nothing else matters. I'm Donovan Garrett. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.